Hi everyone, welcome back to the US CPA classes for regulation exam. Yes, this is taxation and regulation exam series of video. In this particular video, I'll be walking you through in detail, or I would say high level overview of chapter 4, 5 and 6. Chapter 4 is about federal taxation and property transaction. That will be around 5 to 15% of your exam. And then I'll be walking you through with chapter 5, that is federal taxation of individual. That is one of the most important chapter in regulation exam, and it will be around 22 to 32% of your exam. And lastly, I'll be walking you through with chapter 6, the complete overview of chapter 6, that is federal taxation of entity, and that will be around 23% to 33% of your exam. So let's dive into to understand more in detail. US taxation part. In the US taxation part, fourth chapter, which is relating majorly to the capital gain, right? So there we'll be understanding in detail what is the basis of asset. This is more relating to property, plant and equipment, right? So when you are thinking about like property, plant and equipment, very first thing will come is the value, right? So how you drive to the value, that comes under the basis of asset. So basis of asset include, like your purchase cost, your installation cost, if there is any improvement cost you have made, minus the depreciation, depletion or amortization if you have taken. So cost recovery, that is a different terminology in US, which is being used for depreciation, depletion and amortization, right? So depreciation is for the property, plant and equipment. Depletion is for whom? Any idea? For natural resources, right? So if there is any coal mine, oil and gas industry, right, they will be using depletion method. Amortization is for intangible asset, right? So that we will be discussing in detail only from the tax angle, right? There we are not discussing anything from the book angle. And in the cost recovery, specifically in depreciation, so in US the method is completely different than India. In India we are using written down value method of depreciation or straight line method of depreciation? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right? But in US, we will be using MECAR, which is altogether different method of depreciation, which we are not exposed to, and alternative depreciation method, which is more or less similar to straight line method of depreciation. That also will be discussing in detail, right? Then after, we'll be jumping onto the individual taxation. Right? In individual taxation, in this chapter, you'll be understanding the computation of income for individual, which is starting from the income minus certain exclusion from the income that will derive the adjusted gross income. From there will be a deduction, which is standard deduction or itemized deduction, whichever is more beneficial to taxpayer. That will give you the taxable income. On that taxable income, you will be applying the tax rate. That tax rate application will give you the tax liability. That tax liability you will be reducing from the tax credit, advance tax paid, or withholding tax has been taken by some third party on your behalf. That will give you net tax payable or refundable as the case may be. So we'll be going through the computation of income in this chapter, right? So there, first I'll be giving you in details about the gross income, right? So if you remember earlier we are discussing in India there are 5 heads of income, right? But in US there is no such 5 head. It's only single performer, right? All category of income will be fit into a single performer. There is no separate heads to it, right? So that include your salary income, wages income, rental income, capital gain income, interest income, dividend income, right? Any such things will come under the single performer. In next week, I'll be walking you through with the form 1040, which is an income tax return filing form for the individual. There, I'll show you line by line what all things will be coming under the respective category of income, exclusion, deductions, credits, and everything, right? Second is reporting of item from pass-through entity. This is also very new concept which you are not exposed to in India. In US, there are two type of entity which can be considered as a pass-through entity. First is partnership firm. Second is S corporation. Right? If you see in India, partnership firm are being considered as a separate legal entity from the tax point of view, and they pay taxes on their incomes, right, independently, and after tax amount will go to the capital account from where like partner can do the drawings, or partner share in the partnership firm is also being considered as a taxable in the hand of respective partner. So to avoid this double taxation, in US, IRS has very simplified approach that any income which you are generating from the partnership firm can be passed through to the respective partner in their profit sharing ratio. Right? So partnership firms are not taxable in the United States of America. Rather, their profit share is being allocated in the income of respective partner based on their profit sharing ratio. Right? Second is S corporation. Right? S corporation is small corporation. Right? Small corporation can elect themselves as a pass-through entity if there are limited number of shareholders, right? So any income of the S corporation will be considered as pass-through entity, and their income will be passing to the respective shareholder in their respective shareholding ratio, and it is being taxed in the hand of shareholder, not the S corporation. So we'll be discussing in detail. This is a new concept. Don't worry. In next class also, I'll be putting more light into it. Right? Next one is adjustment and deduction to arrive at a taxable income. So there are two type of deduction. Right? In India, if you see, like how many of you file tax return? You guys file your tax return or any?
Yes, yes, we
Yes,
will.
yes, sir. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
most of you file your tax return, right? Except like few candidates who are still studying. So when you file your tax return, you claim standard deduction,
Yes,
Yes,
right?
sir.
In addition to
Yes, sir.
that, you claim deduction under section 80 also,
Right.
yes,
Correct.
sub 6A.
right? But in US, you can either claim standard deduction or itemized deduction. Itemized deduction is similar to section 80 deduction which we have, but you cannot claim both, right? So that is the difference between Indian taxation and US taxation. So as and when we are getting into the respective topic, I'll be bringing those differences into your attention so that you can unlearn Indian taxation and relearn the US taxation accordingly, right? In the same fashion, it has to be learned, right? So you can either choose standard deduction or itemized deduction. You cannot choose both. You cannot take advantage of both in the US taxation, right? So when you start advising to the client on the income tax deduction part, so you need to evaluate both and guide your client which one is more beneficial to the client. Then after we'll be studying the loss limitation. How much loss of the respective category you can adjust against the respective category of income, and how much loss you can carry forward and to how many years you can carry forward. So there are different category of losses. One is loss from the ordinary business that you can carry forward infinitely. Then there may be a capital loss. Then there may be a passive activity loss. Then there may be a gambling loss, right? So there are different category of losses we'll be discussing in detail. Then after we'll be understanding the filing status. This is also 100% new concept for each one of you. None of you will be having an exposure to this. Filing status in United States of America, there are 5 type of filing status, right? The first one is the single filing. Second one, if you are married, you have two options. You can file married filing joint return, or you can file married filing separate return. Fourth one is head of the household, but this is totally different than what you have studied as a karta in India, right? And the last one is qualified widower. So these are the five categories. We'll be discussing in detail about the filing status, why it is so as well, and what are the thought of the tax maker when they come up with these five category of filing status. We'll be discussing in detail, right? And then lastly, we'll do computation of taxes, that is tax payable and the tax credit, which include withholding taxes, right? So the fifth chapter would be slightly bigger, where we'll be investing more time, and there would be a great learnings as well, which is totally new learning for each one of you, to be very honest, right? First chapter and second chapter, you will see in first chapter there are a lot of new learning, but second chapter, I'm sure you all are being exposed to it, business law, agency laws, and everything. But fifth chapter will be a great learning experience and new learning experience for each one of us. The last chapter is Federal Taxation of Entity. Entity can be a sole proprietorship, partnership, LLP, LLC, C corporation, and S corporation. Right? So first we'll be understanding difference between book and tax income, because the reconciliation will go between book and taxable income along with the tax return. So there we'll be understanding the reconciliation format, which is disclosure form M1, M2, and M3. In details, we'll be discussing. M3 is slightly bigger for the C corporation or bigger organization. For small organization, M1 and M2 is sufficient. And the reporting of uncertain tax position. So uncertain tax position is litigations, claims, assessment from the tax perspective. Those how you need to disclose, right? And then after we'll be going through the C corporation and S corporation concept, which is totally new concept for each one of us, where we are not having any exposure. C corporation are generally considered as a large corporation. S corporation are generally considered as a small corporation. For C corporation, how do you need to do computation of taxable income, tax liability, and allowance of tax credit, including state and local tax issues that we'll be studying. And the next one is S corporation, which is small businesses, right? So first we'll be understanding who all are being eligible to consider themselves as a small organization, how the election criteria will be fulfilled, and what you need to do to elect yourself as a pass-through entity or to be taxed as a C corporation. Both the options are being available in the IRC, which is called Internal Revenue Code. For the S corporation, they can elect to treat as a pass-through entity, or they can elect to treat themselves as a C corporation. Both options are being available. Then determining the ordinary income and separately stated income basis of shareholder interest, which will go as a pass-through entity interest in the respective shareholder and will be taxed in the hand of respective shareholder. Then after, we'll be studying about the partnership. Again, partnership is a pass-through entity. It will not get taxed independently as a partnership firm, but the profit of the partner is being added in the hand of the respective partner, and it is being taxed in the hand of respective partner. However, in the new tax regime has been implemented, which required the informative return for the partnership firm and S corporation in form 1065. That is also we'll be discussing, and certain interest and penalty provision which has recently came in, that also we'll be discussing for the partnership firm. An additional requirement by IRC, which is came in TCJA Act 2017, that also we'll be discussing here in the partnership. Limited liability company, similar to like partnership and S corporation. And the last one is tax exempt organization. Same way, how in India we have not-for-profit organization, right? The organization which take Section 12AA approval. Do you know Section 12AA in India? Any of you have idea? Are you guys here with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Do you have any idea? Section 12AA approvals or
Ma'am,
tax exempt?
charitable trust,
Yeah.
charitable trust के अंदर होता है सर 12AA.
Yes. Yeah,
उसमें
yeah.
exemptions for charitable trust, exemptions for charitable and how the income would be taxed ऐसा कुछ है 12AA.
Yeah, very true. So same way in US there is section 5013C, for which, like the entity not-for-profit organization, they can take tax exempt approval, right? So any income or expenditure, right, is being for the defined objective of that respective trust or respective not-for-profit organization will not be considered under the tax purview. But if they are doing any business activity, that will fall under the tax regime, right? And then unrelated business income. So these all things will be covering in next 11 weeks together, right?
Sir,
What
I
do
have a
you
question. In US, like in India, the income tax slabs and rates will be changed every year, or it will
Yes.
remain?
Yes, yeah, it will fluctuate. It will fluctuate. And most of the time, majority of, you can say, changes come when there is a change in administration, right? So in the next class, we'll be discussing, like the last couple of administrations, starting from Bill Clinton, what all new tax laws, tax rates he has been implemented. Then Obama administration, what all new tax laws Obama administration has come up. And then after Donald Trump, I'm sure you will start loving Donald Trump when you start studying the regulation. So there are a lot of good activities from the tax perspective, tax benefit, especially for the businesses and individual. And more importantly, during the COVID time, which Trump has came up, is extremely commendable, to be very honest. And then after in 2020, Joe Biden has also came up with the new tax amendment called Inflation Reduction Act, right? So in the next class, I'll be walking you through all the tax laws starting from the beginning in the United States of America and till date what all new amendment has been came for the respective tax law, as well as new tax laws has been came up, right? So that is being agenda for the next class we'll be walking you through, right? Any doubt, anything
Okay,
you
sir.
need clarification?
I have a question.
Yes.
This basically the computation will be for the individual taxation and the C corporation. That's right.
No. Like yes. So we will be understanding both here. 1040, which is for the individual taxation, 1120, which is for the C corporation or S corporation
Because you mentioned S corporation and partnerships are pass-through
entity.
adjustments,
Yeah.
pass-through entities. So
Yes.
there won't be separate computation for C corporation
Yes.
and the S corporation and the partnerships, right?
Yeah. For that information return, which is comes under form 1065. So that also we'll be discussing.
Sir,
So
one
they
more
need
thing.
to.
This what would be the do they test the entire how to fill up the forms and all, or what is the extent of testing in the exam?
Yeah. So no, that's very good question. So there are in the next class we'll be discussing about the exam pattern as well. So there are two type of tests. One is multiple choice question. One is simulation. In multiple choice question, which is 50% of your examination, they will be testing your understanding about the respective concept. Right? There would be one question and four options given to you. You need to select the best right option. On the other side, which is simulation, there they will evaluate your implementation skills of those knowledge. So there you can see some competition type of question will be coming. There would be some filling the blanks type of question will be coming. There would be some calculation type of question would be coming, right? In the simulation, you can expect those things.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
So they are subjective, that means.
Yeah. What do you mean by subjective?
So means we have to write down and solve the questions in
Yes.
the answer sheet.
In simulation, there are various type of simulation. Specifically, three type of simulation I would explain. First one will be research-based simulation. So in the research-based simulation, they will give you the case study, and there would be authoritative literature available to you. In the authoritative literature, you need to research from which topic this case study is being belongs to, and you need to give the section and subsection detail. So that is called research-based simulation, which is an open book question, right? Second type of question would be, where you have some drop-down menus, right? There would be, let's assume any particular question in which you need to select the right option from the drop-down. So that will be also be there, which is like fill in the blanks kind of things, or maybe you need to select the best right drop-down. Third category of question could be, which sir was saying, is computation, where you need to do mathematical calculation at your own and you need to type the number.
Okay, fine, sir, fine.
Yeah, so these are three category of simulation. I would say research-based simulation, you all should do sufficient practice because it is free numbers. Because you need to understand the concept and find in the authoritative literature and just write the section and subsection to it. Right? Any other doubt? Now, I think the last 1 hour which we have invested together, you got like overall gist of what is coming in the regulation examination, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, today class was like more of introductory class, and from next Saturday, we'll start diving into more detail. So first, we'll be discussing the terminology which is different in United States of America than Indian. Second, I'll be walking you through all the respective form for the tax filing, which is for the individual 1040, 1065 for the partnership firm, and 1120 for the C corporation, along with their schedules as well. And I'll share all those things in our WhatsApp group so that you can download that as well for your ready reference. And then once we are done, we have complete idea about what is coming in the regulation. Then we start chapter 1. Right? This will be the flow of the classes, right? Make sense? Sounds good?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is it for today's class. Thanks for joining, and I hope you got a complete overview what next 11 week we are going to study together, right? Thank you everyone for your patiently listening to me, and we all had a great interaction. Looking forward to see more faces in the future classes because it's an opportunity to build your network, professional network as well, right?
So one thing I understood from this
Thank you
class,
very much, sir.
Yes,
one thing
Anuradha.
I understood from this class that throughout all ages, the students are same. They don't open their camera, they don't speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm facing it from last 3.5 years.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, throughout the ages, yeah.
Yeah, very true, very true. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy rest of
Thank you,
your
sir. Thank
Sunday.
you.
Let's start from the next Saturday in detail.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.